Hello and welcome to another episode of the Mastermind, Body, and Spirit Show. I'm your host, Matt Belair, and today I am so excited to introduce today's guest. She was a registered nurse and worked in intensive care and home health for 20 years. She then decided to explore other aspects of the healing profession and has trained in reconnective healing and Dolores Cannon's quantum healing hypnosis therapy. Her energy healing has taken on its own dimension and has formed into something she calls lightcasting. Intuitive lights comes from the hands to direct energy where it is needed to balance any deficiencies in the body. This balancing may be happening on the physical, mental, and or spiritual level. While she is working in someone's energy field, she gets intuitive messages, impressions of what is happening and what is needed to help the person bring about their healing. When she does remote energy work, she is taken intuitively inside the body to see what the condition looks like, and then she is given methods to correct the situations. This has been a spontaneous development that continues to amaze her in its applications. Welcome to the show, Julia Cannon.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Matt. It's so wonderful to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited we're finally chatting. We scheduled this and then you were training in China, so we had to delay it and there were storms, but we got you today.
Yes, finally. I don't know what was, the forces to be. Just kept coming in there. Yes.
Okay, so reading your bio is very exciting. I know about you and I know about your past and I know about your work. Some people don't know. So I'm curious if you can just start with giving a little bit about your unique background and, get people to how you can do these incredible things and where all that started and came from.
Oh, wow. How it started. It started by, wow. That's an interesting question. Because, it was a step by step by step, but how it started was by being pushed. And a lot of people are, because you don't do it until you're pushed to do it. And um, yeah. So okay, remember we talked about this. I said they're going to direct it. Okay, and they're doing it already.
Perfect.
Okay, because usually I'll go through and I'll say, oh well, this is how it all went, and they're going, no, we're going to go a different direction with it. So
Perfect.
I love it when they do that. Okay. They okay, here's the deal.
Yes.
Okay. And somebody out there needs to hear this. So this is why I have to be, I don't have to be, but this is why I'm being brutally honest with this part of this. I just said, I made a deal and I said, use me. They can, I'm here as an instrument, as a tool to be used, for a service. And so that's part of it is if someone needs information, someone needs anything, then they use me in whatever manner. And so, and these are the types of formats that they will use. And it was off coming at first because I was, with the background of nursing and stuff, I had this whole thing and, I want to present a professional image, I want to be nice and everything in place and in order, and I want to look like I have, like I know what the heck I'm doing, right? So, and well, they're like, you're gonna have to let that one go real quick. And so a lot of times, and they started doing this in the classes, and like I said, in formats like this, they'll, they come in and they, all of a sudden, I just look like I'm like, blah, 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 all tongue tied. And it's because they're shifting the gears and they're like, no, I think we'll take this a different direction and we'll just go up and I'm going, and so I'm trying to catch up with what it is that they want me to do. And so, um, part of this, where this is coming from, is I I say that I hear them. It's more than it's not a hearing so much as a knowing. It's more of a it's hard to describe what it is anymore. It used to be a hearing. Now it's just a uh, oh goodness. It's like I know that I have these beings all around me, and I just know what they want. I just know what they are, that there's the energy, and it's telling me, it's somehow it's telling me, it's like this, it's this, this is how people get diagnosed with mental things. So, and I hope your audience isn't thinking, oh my God, what kind of a lunatic did you just bring on?
Lunatics are my favorite. I seek them out.
Oh, good. Oh, yeah, that's right. You said, hey, from the Ozarks.
Yep.
So
Yep.
what
Exactly.
did you just say right before the show? You just
Yeah.
said right
Yeah.
before the show, you've got
Yeah.
the crazies from the Ozarks, right? So there
Exactly.
we go. I'm proving it. I am proving it.
Perfect.
Oh, thank you guys. You are doing so good. Oh my gosh. Okay. Anyway, okay. How it started was um I was on my beautiful, pristine path, so I thought, of my registered nurse career, which is what I always wanted to do ever since I was a little girl. It was like I had this thing all charted out. This is what I'm supposed to do. And until one day I got, and it's in my book, the whole, where I got messages. I kept getting messages to stop doing that and go do something else. And I sort of listened, and I, blah blah. I kept like, well, you need to go do this, and I would get uncomfortable when I'd start making the moves. But long story short is, finally they said, you've got to stop doing this. Okay, so it was the end of my nursing career. It was like, and all that was just abruptly stopped. It was like, you can't do this anymore. This has to stop. And I had to be in this other place. It was like, this is, I can see now that it was part of the divine plan. And if I would have continued down this other road, I, that wasn't part of the plan. And it was like, you have to get from here to here. And, and I was missing, it's like, you can go so far down this road, but at some point you have to take the off ramp and get over here. And I wasn't listening to take the off ramp. And so they're like, hey, if you're not going to do it, we're going to do it. And so they just finally just cut off the road and picked me up and put me over here. And in that doing, that's what I meant by pushed. Sometimes you get pushed and shoved into these things. So, because in that doing, I'm like, okay, so then what am I going to do now? I've always been a nurse. That was my identity. And then I started getting led, people show up on your path. Those are your teachers. And they were telling me, they said, well, don't you know that, nursing, you were just a nurse because that was the only path that a healer had. When you came in, that was the only way you understood. You've always been a healer. And that was the only way. It was either, you only had two paths when at my age. A healer only understood doing nursing, or a doctor. That was really the only two paths we had. So that was why I understood, okay, I'm gonna be a nurse, I'm be a nurse, I'm be a nurse. I can go take care of people. I knew I was going to help people. So that was why that was what I understood. But then it was like, okay, now it's time you have to go down this other road. So then this person said, okay, well, have you ever heard of the reconnective healing? And that's when they just mentioned it to me. And so I was like, no, I never had. But it resonated when they were telling me about it. And so I went to a class, and and then she also asked, it was really funny because she said, well, have you read your mother's book? Dolores Cannon, your mother's book, They Walked with Jesus. And I hadn't yet. I hadn't read that book yet. And I'm like, oh, no, not yet. I read most all of her books as she was doing. At that time, I was still, I was working full time as a nurse. So I didn't have, I wasn't over here working with her yet. So I knew I read some of her things, and I worked with her some of the times, but it wasn't like I was later. Um, so They Walked with Jesus, and so she is telling me about my mother's book, which is funny because she said, "Oh well, in there, we're a little precursor to this was after all this happened with, my whole life being stopped. Is I had a session." One of these hypnosis sessions with my mother, because it's like I'm sort of going, what am I going to do? And so we had a session kind of find out, see if we can get any information. And the main thing that came through that session was um, it took me into some point in the future, which normally sessions don't do that. Usually they take you into the past, but they'll only take you in the future if you need to see something like that, to see that there is something down the road or something like where I was. It was like, what? I don't even know what's going on. And it showed me on a stage before a crowd of about maybe, it wasn't a very big crowd, maybe 30, 40 people at the most. And I had lights coming out of my hands. And I was doing this motion with my hands. And I said, oh, I'm teaching people how to manifest. And that was, I'm like, oh, okay, whatever that means. And then I said, oh, and when you do this, when everybody does this, that heals the earth. Okay, so that was what the session was. So I was telling this person this when she was telling me, when I just happened to mention it in the conversation on the phone, and that's when she's telling me about my mother's book, They Walked with Jesus, and she said, well, you do know that that's how Jesus healed, right? And I'm like, no, I have no idea. I didn't read the book. She said, yeah, he had lights coming out of his hands. And so then that's when she's like, yeah, and if you might want to consider this course, this reconnective healing. So anyway, so I go to that course, and I mean, I got the book first, and it's like, yeah, this resonates. And so then I went to the course, and it was so funny because I walked in. I was just a few minutes late, and the moment I walk in, the guy saying, "You have light coming out of your hands," and I'm like, "Oh, like, okay, I'm in the right place." So he goes, "And I'm just going to help you know how to direct them," And so it was like, okay, confirmation here. All right, so that was all fine and good. So I learned that. Well, then um, I went, things were happening through all this part where everything was, my life was going through all this turmoil and everything. I wasn't practicing this, you have to practice, and I was just, and it actually kind of, I wasn't sure about it. I just did it at that time. And so there was a course of like 3 years. I didn't do anything with it, you know. And then all of a sudden now I'm where, like I said, it took 3 years for them to pluck me from here and put me over here. So it's not like, sometimes things you think, oh, it goes boom, immediately. It doesn't. It took 3 years for this process. Okay. So now I'm over here, and I meet up with some people here again. Okay, now I'm over here working with my mother and helping her with her business, and uh, and then I meet some people at a conference, and this woman just comes up to me, and she's just like, you know, talking about having fairs and doing all these things, and just going to conferences and stuff, and I said, well, I did learn this energy work, oh, we need to do that. We need to do that. And I'm like, I don't know if I can still do that. I don't know if it's still there. That's what's funny is I don't know if it's still there. And, well, we need to, and so we need to do that. And so we planned a day that we planned to get together and we were going to practice on each other. And I mean, to me now, this is so funny because of what I know about it and to think of where I was. But I know somebody needs to hear this. And so, because we all go through these things. But we got together. There was she and her husband and myself. We got together, and we were just going to practice on each other. And I kept starting to, I was just like, I was scared to death. I was just scared to death. I was just, I mean, I just couldn't even do it. And I mean, it took me half the day. I kept, it's like, I don't know if I thought something was going to explode. I don't know what I thought. I mean, I did fine in the class. I was like, I don't know what I thought was going to happen. I thought it wasn't going to be there. It was all going to fail. It was all going to, it was crazy stuff going through my head. And so, and then we went to lunch and I was thinking, we're going to just forget this whole thing. I mean, this is crazy. I'm not going to do it. And while we're at lunch, she was trying to find somebody like, somebody else for me to practice on or something. I don't know. Then all of a sudden I said, you know what? I'll do it. I'll do it. If we go back, just, I'll do it. And, but to think now, it's like, why was that such a big monumental, big deal? But anyway, so we went back to the room that we were practicing. We had not done anything yet. All we did was talk and stuff. But now we go back to the room. She laid down on the massage table that we had set up there. And I was like, okay, well, and I went through the thing and I went to put my hands down and my hands just went boom. I mean, the energy it was like right there. What I was afraid of, my fear was that it wouldn't be there and it was going to be a failure. See, that was it. But it was all right there and it was so powerful. And it was like, oh my gosh, and so, and then it just took over. And what I found was as I started using it, then it just took on a life of its own. And I just started allowing it. And that's what we talk about is the light casting. I just started going with it and I started realizing, and then she started finding people and bringing them to me for me to practice on. And we started going to fairs, psychic fairs and stuff. And then I'm having fun with it, because I love how it feels and stuff. And I can tell, I mean, it's like, this is something really cool. And so, and it was just like, okay, this is, this is what they taught, but then where the other part came in was when she was like, okay, well, you talked about doing the remote work. You can do that. And so I said, yeah, they said we can do that. And I was trying to remember how they said to do it. And so she said, okay, well, there's this person has this issue. And she was saying it was in the abdomen. Okay. He's got an issue in the abdomen. I'm like, okay, so I'm going to visualize him because they were telling us how to do all this. I'm going to visualize him on the table and I'm going to, what to do and everything. But when I started actually doing, I said, okay, I just asked them, I said, okay, what am I supposed to do? And I said, I guess I'm just going to act like he's right there in front of me, like I'm working with him in person, and just imagine this. And so I saw him in my mind, but when I did that, the energy, all of a sudden the energy just started moving, and it said, and I said, well, they said it's in the abdomen, and they were like, nope, and they started highlighting his heart, the heart area, and I was like, what? But it's the abdomen, and they kept highlighting the heart area. And I kept trying to make it go to the abdomen, and it's like, nope, it's the heart area. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, fine. And so then it was like it swooped me into the body and let me see what was going on. And it was like took me into the heart, and the heart was all there was all this black around it, and it showed me it all had to do what was going on in the abdomen, whatever it was, had to do with this emotional junk that was in going on in the heart. There was just a bunch of emotional stuff there. And so it was like, we got to take care of this. This is what's going on. And then it was like, it was talking to me at the same time, and it was saying, there's this, and it was showing it, and it was like this goop and stuff. And so, okay, we need to get like a scooper, it's like, we've got to scoop this stuff out. It was just this goopy stuff. And okay, we're going to get this scooper, and we're going to scoop it out of here, and we're going to clean all this stuff up and stuff. And it was like, it was just this like etheric working, and somehow, I'm not really sure, but somehow it's like, it needed me in the process. It's like, I kept thinking, why am I here? Because it was doing the work, and I was watching it, and I'm seeing it, and it's just, but they're telling me what they're doing, so it's like, well, we're going to take this and we're going to scoop it. But somehow it's like, I don't know if I'm a conduit in the process or whatever, but I was just like, I'm just fascinated because I love the body. And so I'm just going, well, this is really cool. Let's just scoop all this junk out. Oh, there's a piece over there. Okay, scoop it out there, and then they just kept cleaning and scrubbing until they cleaned everything out, and then they backed off. It's like, okay, that's it. That was his deal. And so that's how it started. It was just, it said, it was out of, this is what you're going to do. You're going to do these things and stuff. And then it just kept doing that. If people said they had an issue, I just, for fun, I mean, a lot of this, I just try it. I just play, and I just, okay, well, how do we do this? And they show me something else, and it's someone else had an issue with their lungs, and I said, okay. So I just pick a quiet time, usually in the early morning hours. Usually in the early morning hours is when I do it, before, right at the time I'm waking up. And I would think about the person, and I was like, okay, now, and I'd think about them, and I'd ask about what was going on. Okay, and they took me into the body and stuff, and here they're showing me, the lungs and stuff, and then they showed me all the junk in there. And I'm like, okay, so we're gonna take the scooper, and they said, no. No, this time we're gonna take this like a vacuum cleaner, and they were sucking it all out and stuff. So it's like these different things for different tools for different things, different objectives, I guess. And so and then that really helped when I was writing the book Soul Speak, because it allowed me to understand how you can crawl in. See, it's all energy, it's all etheric, and you can crawl into things, and stuff, and just understand, and you can talk to it, and you're able to talk to the body, you're able to talk to the process, whatever's going on. You can, because they all have messages, they all have things they're trying to tell you. So it just happened, and that's what it's all about. It's so fun, because most of this stuff, these are our abilities that are natural, and we're just, we're bringing them back. These are things that we did before, or we've, they're very natural for us, from a time gone by, or from the other side, other dimension somewhere. But they're things that are natural to us, and so we're just tapping back into them. So it's just like, if you just play with it, and that's what I'm being guided to do now, is to start playing with some more things. And so we'll see where that goes. Anyway, so
Wow.
that's how it started. That was a long answer for a
It was the best answer. Okay, so there's so many different ways I want to go with this. So to give people who don't know, like, your mom is very famous for doing past life regression, and then beings would come through, and then she wrote, how many books did she write? A lot of books.
I think it's 19 right now.
Yeah.
And it's still coming.
Really? Interesting. Yeah, so the
Mhm.
beings are coming through as people are under hypnosis and giving her information. I love her because she's one of the best people to bring this information because she's like this little sweet old lady just telling you amazing stuff. You're like, oh my
Yeah.
God, but she's got no agenda. She's pretty sweet. So when you say they, who are you
Mhm.
talking about? Can you
Okay,
explain that
that's
a
a
bit?
great question. Yeah, yeah. Because they, to me, it just they're my, and that's what she would call them too. My guys, So they, um, you can call them. It's your higher self, the oversoul, the collective consciousness. It's the bigger part of yourself, and they have, you know, when they've come through, they've referred to themselves sometimes as we and in plural form. And she asked them, why do you call, say we and things? And they said, well, we're a collective. And
Mm,
so, and that's how it feels sometimes. You can tell that it's more than one. And when I've drawn the picture, I have it in the class well, it's actually in the book too. And they've demonstrated that it's only here in this plane that we feel separate, but once we get to the other side, see, we're all connected. So that's how it's all of ours. We're all connected, and so it's the collective of all of us, our high selves. So that's why it's a they and a we, for that. So that's, and they're the big guys.
gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
okay,
hope that makes
okay. So no, it will make sense to me. I've
okay.
tuned in, meditation, higher self, or guides. I've had David Lombear talks that we have two guides. Is that something that is similar to your work you found? He said two
Yeah,
guides.
I've
I
been
don't know.
told we have lots of guides. I don't know if we're limited to two. We have probably at least two. I've been told that, and sometimes they'll switch out um, in lives, but you have at least you always have one. You have one main one, and you probably have at least two. But it depends on how much you have going on in your life that you may get more. And if you have things coming up where your life takes a big turn, then you might have another, one leave and another one come in, because it's like they have specialties where they're going to come and help you with different things. So, but yeah, you have a whole leave behind you. In fact, they gave me a visual the other day that was so beautiful. It was just like they said, and I was like, I had no idea. It was for me too to understand just the team we have behind us.
Hmm,
It's huge. It's like this huge wave that supports us.
hmm.
So we are not alone ever.
Okay, so yeah, you're one of the people I can ask a big question to. So,
Okay.
from your perspective and research and work, number one, does everybody have the abilities to turn on their hands or healing abilities, psychic abilities, ability to tap into guides? Is that something that you feel is normal and accessible to
Absolutely.
everyone?
Mhm. Yeah,
Okay,
anybody can do this. Anybody can do it. It's just if you want to, it's just a matter of
right.
allowing. Hmm.
Awesome. Thought so. Get that one out of the way. Check. We all have
Okay.
the power. So, I've gone through some of your mother's work, and it's really interesting concepts on what's happening in reality. I think she talks about the 144,000 souls, talks about the Earth being a school. From your perspective and your work, what the heck is going on here? What's the point of being a human? Are we in some sort of ascension process? Is that a thing, or is that nonsense? Um, is there a suppression of beings? Some people say that we're being suppressed by beings, and there's like some sort of quarantine on the planet. So it's a lot of vague stuff. Once you try to figure out what the heck is happening on the planet, it gets vague. So I don't know if you want to give like your thoughts on that, or what you even feel is important about that, because sometimes I'm like, what in this information is even helpful for me to live a daily existence in, and that's what's
Right.
important to me ultimately. So on that very broad question, how do you feel about what's going on here?
Okay. What's going on here? Number one. because that is a big question. Some people might, it's actually got an excellent answer but some people might get, I don't know who your audience is, first of all. So, hopefully I don't upset them. But
they're pretty open. If they've listened to a few, they've been open to some ideas. So feel free.
Okay, wonderful. It's all a game. It's all a game, and it's all about us waking up to the reality that, of who we are. We are great and powerful beings, and that we are the ones that, 1 and 2, we're playing a game, and 3, we are the ones that created the game, because we are great and powerful creator beings. So, yeah.
I like it. Well, I've heard the game come up a lot. Even the Tree of Life is a game. Really high level stuff. I've heard too. Life is referred to as a game and or Earth School. I like that. So we're playing the game, and I've heard, like, all the challenging stuff is for us to learn and grow, and we've chosen this, But sometimes when you want things to change, I've also heard that we can change the game whenever we want. We can change the rules however we want, because we're these infinite creators.
And we did.
Okay, go on about that.
Well, we did, because, we used to have the belief of karma and all that stuff, and we no longer have that. All that's gone. That's where we changed that. We got off the wheel of karma, and that was part of that shifting and everything that we did. The ascension did happen. It's already shifted. We shifted back in 2011. We're in the new earth.
Mm-hmm. That sounds good. Okay, so for someone out there here listening to this, but they're going about their life, and it might not be, New Earth sounds fun. I feel like I'm going to have a good time there. I'm all about the New Earth, building new cities, having life make sense. What would you recommend for somebody to get into the vibration of the New Earth, and what does the New Earth mean to you exactly?
Okay. Well, what they told me is, you're already there. You'll see it when you believe it. It's because you keep believing what everybody tells you, and you keep watching the same old stuff, and you keep following the same old pattern, and you same old things that you've always done, and you keep listening and believing everything that everybody tells you, then you're going to keep going down and creating the same thing that you've been creating. Remember, we're creator beings. So when you start believing and changing what's up here, then you will start seeing the different life and the different planet. Because that's what raises your frequency. That's what raises, and that's what changes everything. That's all
I love
it is.
that.
It's simple. But people go, oh no, that can't be it. That's too simple. I'm sorry. The universe is simple. If you look at the universal laws, they're all very simple. The universe is simple.
Okay, so I can agree with that, because the research that I put in about the law of attraction, how to manifest your reality, things like that. I know people with amazing, incredible stories. I've had some amazing experiences where I'm seeing these laws in action. So I've heard, whatever it is that you want to attract in this life, you got to vibrate it, because we're vibrational beings and match the frequency, right? So if abundance is on 90.2 FM, then you just got to buzz that and believe it, right? Because if you doubt it, then you're sending a counterintuitive signal that's going to give you the doubt. It's going to make that happen. So
exactly.
So my question is, and this is that I use, if you didn't know, if your mother didn't love you or something, or you never experienced love, how the heck do you vibrate it? If you've never experienced like $10 million in your bank, how the heck do we find that vibration? And the way that I kind of relate it to is in snowboarding. When I'm teaching athletes to learn a new trick they've never done, like in snowboarding, I could do a backflip on anything pretty easily, barring massive, massive jumps. But like I know what it feels like, so I can just go do it. But when I learned it,
Right.
I was terrified. I didn't know what going upside down felt like. And so I feel like it's the same thing in your reality. So do you have any suggestions for tuning in to that frequency and
Yeah.
holding it and building a belief system around it that gives us more options and more freedom?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. First, it's just a matter of believing. It might start with believing you can at first, and then you start building. And it's just believing in something. If you see that other people are able to do it, then, well, if they can do it, then I can do it. Rather than being envious and thinking that's, there's only enough for them. See, that shows lack. Well, the universe is abundance. Okay, that's another universal law. There's abundance. Because you just look around you, you see everything abundance. That nature has abundance. So that's a universal law. There is plenty for everyone. So if someone else can have it, then so can you. So you look at it that way. Okay, so it's like, I can have it. So then you just imagine it, and just do it with imagination, and then that will start raising it. And that's what you operate. Like a lot of success gurus, they'll say fake it till you make it. Yeah, that's what they're talking about, because you don't know what it feels like. You don't know, and so you have to work off of something. But you've seen people, and so that's where you find pictures and you find things. That's why they tell you to do that. You just imagine it, you dream it, whatever it takes to believe it, because your mind, it doesn't know. It doesn't know the difference. The body doesn't know the difference. Once it sees it, when you keep picturing it and you believe it, it calls in all the forces to make it happen. Because, like you said, see, it's created up here. So it starts shifting everything to raise the frequencies to make it happen, to raise you up to that creation. That's because it's there. If you can think it and you believe it, it has to be, because it's done. That's just the way it is. But it's these parts, and you'll get directives. You'll start getting directives of things to do. And then you really know. You'll start seeing things. It's like, oh, that means it's on its way. You'll start seeing little signs, pay attention. Pay attention. You'll see some things that'll show you that that's on its way. Like this was years ago, like when I lost everything, and here I was now coming back, okay, and I wanted to get a house, and I was trying to get, working. I was trying to get my house. It was taking forever to get the financing, and I was just like, oh my goodness, is this ever going to happen? And I already knew, so I was trying to get things back that I'd had before, and I already knew I wanted. I put out there, I said, I want a dog with this kind of temperament like I had before, and I want a cat that looked this certain way, because that was like the cat I had before. I mean, I lost everything, and so I described the pets that I wanted, and then the house. I already knew, because they told me years and years ago where I was going to live, and so when I came back here, it was like, yep, that's where you're going to live. You're going to live right there. And so here, okay. So I was just waiting for the financing to come through on the house, and it was looking like it wasn't going to happen. And so I was like, oh my gosh, and then I kept going, what is going on? And then one day I came home, and I pulled the car up, and I heard this little whimper, and I thought, what on earth? I thought maybe I hit one of my sister's dogs. I thought, oh my gosh, no, 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 and I opened the door, and this little puppy comes and jumps into my lap. And I'm like, well, who are you? Just the sweetest little dog came out. We have no idea where it came from. And sweetest little thing. I said, are you the dog that I'm supposed to have. And he just let, he was there. And then, and he just stuck around. And after a couple of days, I don't know what to call you. And in a couple of days, I got mentally what to call him. Okay. And then let's say about a week or two later, I get a call from my sister that her son brought this little kitten home from work where he worked in town. He said this kitten was just someone left it, and it was like if it stayed in town, it was going to get killed because it was just a kitten. It was just abandoned. And so he brought it home, and she's like, "Is this your kitten?" Because that's why she said, "Is this your kitten? Not do you want this kitten?" She said, "Is this your kitten that you know?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she brings it to me. It's exactly the kitten. I mean, the kind of cat I described. It was a kitten, but it was exactly the coloring of what I described I wanted. And so I'm like, I said, yes, yes, I'll take that kitten. And so I realized, see, that was telling me my house is coming. My house is coming. So then I went and I went and I looked at the spot where the house is supposed to go, and I'm like, okay, so what's going on? And then I realized, oh, I was having doubt. I was wondering if I was going to be able to afford it. I was wondering if I had to look at it. What was holding this whole thing up? It was me. Me. I was the one making everything delayed. I was the one, because I was all myself, my doubts, like you said earlier. See? But then those animals came to show me, hey, it's right here. It's right here if you'll just believe. And so as soon as I started believing, bam, 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 everything fell into place. And it was right there. It happened immediately. So that's how
Amazing.
it works. Yeah, that's how it works. And so watch for those little signs. Watch for them.
My friend Michael Lozia, he wrote the book The Law of Attraction. He'll say, look for proof. And Dr. Joe Dispenza is wherever you put your attention, you put your energy. So if you're putting your attention and energy consistently towards, abundance, successes, things like that, you're going to naturally gravitate to more of that. Okay,
Absolutely.
so with that being said, okay, so if we're in the new earth, I don't know if you had answered this. What is the difference? Are we able to manifest things at a quicker rate? Is there more harmony and love? How do we like get into it and know for sure we're in it, and then enjoy it also fully into it?
Okay. Yeah. See, that's it. That's the whole thing. I mean, you already notice it. If you just have to pay, just if you're honest with yourself, you'll see that things happen much faster. Where before, you would say something or you would do something, and the ramifications of it there were it used to be, it would take a lifetime for it to come back around and get you or whatever. It's not karma anymore. It's more like cause and effect. It would be more like, it's like, there's you have to take responsibility for your actions. That's just the way it is. So but that's empowering too, though, to know that we're not victims here. There's not anything doing anything to us. We are the ones doing everything. And at first that's scary, but when you really get that you're responsible for everything, that's empowering, because then you can move with that. But then now that we know that, like I said before, things took longer to take effect. Your thoughts, okay, you'd be working and working and working and working on something, and it would take maybe 10 years before it finally manifested. Well, now, we're into instant manifestation. So that's why you really, really, really have to watch what's going on up here. You have to watch your thoughts. Pay attention to what you're thinking. You really think about what it is. You like you said, you focus on what you want. That's why that focus on what you want, not what you don't want. You control your thoughts, and you're the only one that can do that. Nobody else can do that. That's why it's your responsibility. The whole thing is, everything in your world is your creation. Sorry, guys. It is. If you don't like it, create something new.
I love that. Okay, so what was I going to ask you? I had written it down. Oh yeah, so we're talking about the human life as a game, and one way that I've kind of described it before is time is really interesting. So if you want to do a little bit of an experiment with yourself, if you guys are listening, for those who are listening, think about like 10 years of time. Just kind of like relax and think about 10 years of time. Then you can think about 20 years of time, try to feel into that, and try to feel
Are we
into
going
like,
forward or backwards?
doesn't even really matter because you can go,
Okay.
then you could try to feel into the space of like, then 1 year of time and then 6 months and 4 days. It's really hard no matter which way you go to feel the distance, to feel like 10 years feels like so much more than 1 year or even 6 months. It really doesn't. It's kind of like this quantum one moment, which is really interesting. So, the game, we're in the game and we're learning. Do you know what the point of the game is? Like, what's the point of this crap?
That's what I'm saying. It's those three things.
What are the
it's to remember that it's a game. To remember that I already forgot. It's to remember who we are. To remember that it's a game, and to remember that we created the game.
Okay, so when you say remember who we are, what do you mean? Who are we really?
Who are we really? Great and powerful creator beings. Because when we discover that, that's when we step off of game board Earth. See, because then it's like game over, because you're no longer playing, you're no longer in the game, you're more like observing the game. You complete it changes the game completely. You can take part in it if you want to, or you just it's all different. That's when you shift.
Awesome. Okay, so good. I have a caveat. So what's your view on ascended masters and Jesus? I actually had somebody reach out to me today wanting me to talk about Jesus, and I was like, yeah, I'll do that in the podcast, like sometime a whole thing. But you seem like a good person to ask. Like, what's your view on Jesus, Buddha, ascended masters, and then we had Yogananda, and in his book, The Autobiography of a Yogi, Sri Yukteswar, his master or mentor, is just appearing on orbs, and he's Yogananda is like, what the heck? He's like, you can do this, it's all light, and Yogananda is like, what? And I'm reading the book, The Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East. 30 minutes into that book, people are disappearing, reappearing, and then they go into, why that's normal, because like this is normal, and we don't want to heal you. We want we will heal you because they're going around, they're healing people and doing different things. But it's like, we'll heal you, but we'd rather you remember you can heal yourself. That's kind of like the point here.
Yes. Yes, you can do it yourself. That's exactly it. And that's what they keep saying over and over. We want you to know that you have everything inside you. You don't need to go outside of yourself for the answers. You can do it all yourself. That's what they want everyone to know now. But yes, the ascended masters were just they're just beings like us that just went through everything, and they got off the game. They figured it out, and they stepped off. That's all. They went through the whole thing, and then they're trying to teach us. So that's all it is.
So do you have any? Go ahead.
On a master level, so they're just on a higher. That's really all it is. They're just trying to show us that we can do the same thing, just like you said. And that's what we said at the beginning. These are all natural abilities. We can all do them. It's just a matter of believing we can do them. We've been told we can't do these things, so we don't believe we can. But we will believe we can do them, and we can.
Hmm. Well, I was thinking about Peter Pan, but it also reminds me of an analogy I've been using a little bit frequently is we're dolphins hypnotized and convinced that we're goldfish. And we have all these unlimited powers and we can jump out of the water and we can see a whole new reality. But we think we're goldfish. So, you know, again, to bring it back to sport for people to understand, like the way that my mind works, a backflip on a snowboard is not that hard. Honestly, it's not actually that hard. If I could get somebody, if they've never snowboarded, it takes about a day and a half to get going,
Yeah.
then if you can
Yeah.
steer, we can hit you and get you to a jump, and that'll take another day and a half maybe. But the fear is just going upside down because you don't want to kill yourself because you land on your head.
Right.
So if you
The
can
biggest
believe it,
thing, yeah, it's the belief, but the biggest word you just said was fear.
mm-hmm.
Because that's, we got to get rid of that. We got to let fear go. I mean, a certain amount of fear is necessary, so we don't put ourselves in dangerous situations that could injure ourselves, things like that. But where so many of us are afraid to explore and try new things and believe, that's where fear isn't necessary. They're afraid that something's going to take you over, and there's nothing out there to take you over. It won't happen. It can't happen. It's against the laws. Okay, it can't happen. It won't happen. So,
I like that. Okay, so we're gonna go to hold on, wait, there's okay, that's good. So I just came back from Contact in the Desert, and that's aliens everything. Aliens everywhere, all
mm-hmm.
day, every day, everywhere, doing things.
Conspiracy and everything. Yeah.
All that. So, lots
Mm-hmm.
of them like to talk about the reptilians and how the reptilians have come down and, they're
Mm-hmm.
suppressing the planet. And now, and then here's the thing about, okay, from my perspective, because I look at TV and news and things like that and education as programming. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of programming. So that's going in and that's not good. That's not
Right.
good programming. So,
Yeah.
what's your thought on if somebody's in the conspiracy hole or looking like, oh God, reptiles? I was scared of reptiles for a second. I was like, oh good. I was like, okay, it's really interesting. But first of all, you're scoping out to aliens, right? That's a big one for a lot of people, or even guides, multiple dimensions, anything beyond
Yeah.
basically going to get a sandwich at Subway is, looking at the
Exactly.
stars. So what is your perspective on like aliens or reptilians or like this dark force? Because even from what I've seen on the dark forces, they're like the dark forces are letting up, even if that's a thing. Because I can't confirm or deny. I've just seen a lot of really interesting information, ancient tablets, things like that. And like, well, that's interesting. So what are your thoughts on that kind of thing?
Right. Well, the aliens are, they created us, okay? And so they've been here watching us. So that's why they've been here. They've just been watching us, keeping track, so that's all that is. As far as reptilians, they're just it's another costume and just another type of being. They're and it's probably another type of being that many of us have been. We have been all over the place. We've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lives in all these dimensions, all these planets, all these different costumes. We play parts, and we play. When we have lives, they're just costumes, and we do them all. So they're just they're just beings. As far as even on this planet, hey, look, we have all kinds of beings on this planet. Is that going to make you say, oh, hey, we have to? Some people want to. We're going to seclude and banish all of these people here. No, it's about learning to get along. Yes, we are different. We have different species. We have different races. We have different types of people. We have different types of aliens. We have different, beings that we have all been and all will be. So we need to learn how to get along. It's just the reason that we're afraid of them is because they look different, and we just don't understand them. That's all it is. When we see something that we don't understand, the first human reaction is fear. Mom did sessions with so many people that went on board ships or went to the planets that where they were these aliens, and we still have practitioners. I mean, we so many practitioners do. I mean, get the same kinds of sessions, and we had people that went back that were the reptilians, and it's not there wasn't anything there. They weren't there trying to take over the planet. I think and then they kept saying, if we wanted the planet, we would have taken it a long time ago. If we wanted to annihilate the race, we would have done it a long time ago. That's not the agenda. That's not anything. That's not what we're about. It's they are here to help protect the planet, and they're just monitoring the humans, just trying to see what affects the planet, the environment, effects that it's having on us, and then what we're doing to the planet. They're really more concerned with the planet. They're trying to make sure the planet stays safe because the planet has such an effect on them and their worlds. Because if you destroy the planet, that affects other planets and other dimensions that we don't have any idea the ramifications that has. Is if we blow this planet up, or if whatever happens to it has so many ramifications to all these other dimensions and galaxies and universes. And so that's where they come in, is to help that to preserve the planet. And so everything's been happening there. And then now they're testing. They do tests to see what effects, how far have we gone with things, and then what effects they're having on the bodies. And then a lot of the things, when they were doing visitations, when they were taking the people, and to my understanding, they're not doing that anymore. I don't know that to be an official fact, but I don't believe they're doing so many visitations anymore. But when they were, it was because it's the people that were in, it was they were checking on their own people, like when they have from their own kind or here on the planet, they came here to help. And so they're just checking on their own people or their own beings, so okay, what's the big deal with that? Wouldn't you want to be that's great, hey, they're keeping an eye on me, they're making sure I'm safe. So it's not, there's nothing big, bad, ugly out there. I mean, yeah, the shows make it all this wonderful, because that's great for drama and stuff. And there may be some turmoil out there. I don't know. There is a galactic federation. There are these things, but they say we can't join it yet because we're too violent. Well, that tells me that it can't be that as bad as the movies show, because if our planet is too violent to join it yet, then it must be more peaceful. So as a federation, it's like, so we have to, they want us, they're more afraid of us because of our violent, because we react and we of our violent nature. They're waiting for us to get to where we are more able to control our emotions. And then they're happily, they're waiting. They want us. They really, really want us to join. And they've been, all this information has come through sessions and things. I've heard them tell me just, I just connect sometimes, and you can do this. Anybody can do this. Anybody. There are ships up there. Those that can see them, some can see them. There's some, you can tell them, the ones that are not stars. There are some out there that are not stars. And then some people can actually see the ships. I can just tell by the stars, but the ones that are not stars. Anyway, and I just tapped into them energetically, and I just started talking. And I said, well, who are you? And they said, well, we're the guardians of the planet. And I was like, oh, okay, well, so what, so if I go back outside, because I've been outside, and I said, so if I go back outside, you're still going to be there? And it's like, yeah, we're going to be here because we're always here. And so I was like, okay. I said, So what's, what do you want to, what's this all about? And I said, well, we're ready to talk. We're ready to talk to whoever is ready to talk to us. We want to do this. We want to communicate. And it's all heart to heart. See, they're all about love. So that's why when people are doing all this other stuff, it's like, I think they're just still coming from their own fear place. And they have said over and over that in order to understand them and in order to get to this higher frequency, to be able to meet with them and things like that, you have to let go of fear. And that's what I was saying about the fear stuff. You gotta let it go. Now the fear of in a dangerous situation, that's one thing. But fear to create things, because some people just like, they like to be scared, but fear is an illusion. Fear is just, it's just made up. It's just an illusion. So it's again, it's up here, you have to look at it, what it really is. And so we have to let it go and know that you're always safe. You're always protected, because what did we just say? You have your guides, your guardian angels. You always have this team around you, and they are always here with you. They won't let anything happen to you. So that's where it's like, this other stuff comes from people who have a fear factor that, that's my personal belief. And they'd probably love to debate me. In fact, I've been in some people just screaming at me to defend their right for their fear things, and it's like, that's your right, like I said, some people just love to be scared. That's why there's scary movies made. People love to be scared. Well, that's what some of this stuff is. So but just know that you're the one creating it. Okay? If you have those kind of things happening in your life, you are the one that's creating it.
So that's a very lovely perspective. Very interesting. I definitely like the empowerment factor. So my question would be, not to get political or anything like that, because I don't care about politics, but it does seem that we're in a world controlled by money, and we got a bunch of dum-dums, running it. We don't have like the system of control in government is nonsense to me. Like, we don't have the smartest people in office, really creating what, I like to hashtag Team Earth. And someone asked me, like, what do you do? And I'm like, man, I wake up and I'm of service to humanity, like the best way I can. And it takes them a bit to kind of understand what I'm talking about. Because the systems we have are really ineffective, maybe outdated, maybe controlled by people who don't have the best interests. Money is a bunch of baloney, fiat currency and whatever they're doing there. So with the New Earth thing, and then stuck in the paradigm of baloney, how do we just be like, we can just, my hunch is you saying we could just shut it off. Like, the example that I would give is someone's like, when you're changing your vibration, it's like, oh, well, how do you deal when someone's really mean to you? And I was like, I can't even, in like 8 years, the last 8 or 10 years, I can't really remember somebody really getting up front and like upset with me and really angry, because I feel like I don't hold that vibration anymore, and it just ended in my reality. So that's kind of how I see, the states is like a thing and the money is a thing. So I think that there's things, but I think they can be transcended individually first and then ideally collectively. So maybe you can add to that rant of what I'm trying to get at there.
No, actually, that's exactly it. And where it starts is right here. It starts with your world. You can't go after the great big political whole big scene. You don't have, that's not where, you don't have any, don't even try. That's not what you're after. In fact, if you go there and you keep focusing on that, that'll just pull your energies down. That'll pull your frequency down. You get caught up in all that drama and all that stuff. See, that's what I meant by if you believe in all that stuff, if you let all that take you away, then that will become your reality. Okay? it starts right here with you. What do you want your world to be? You create it from right here. And it starts with your beliefs and your whole system. Okay? So, and that's because that's all you have control over. You don't have control over the president. You don't have control over the Congress. You don't have control over all those people. But you do have control over you and how you do your decisions in your world and your everything. Okay? Now, when you do that, that has a ripple effect because someone else will see that happening and they'll, I mean, it just naturally just starts vibrating out, you know, because you'll start vibrating higher, and somebody else will say, well, how is it you can be in this calm and amidst this big storm and everything? And you say, you know what, this is all I have control over, so this is what I'm doing. And they'll go, huh. And then, you know, and whatever, they're going to pick up from you by your example. And so that's all, that's what they'll do. And they'll start changing their thoughts and their beliefs. And then it keeps rippling out. And you know what? One day, the whole big picture will be different because it started from you. And that's how you have your world. See, that's the new world. That's the new earth. See, we might end up with 7 billion different new earths because it's all our creation. That's what it's all about. We're creating it as we go. That's the beauty of it. We can have whatever we want. So it's, what do you want? What do you want your life, your world to be? Because that's what it is. You can have it be whatever they tell you it to be, or you can take control and you can have it be what you want it to be. And that's what you think about and what you believe, because that's all it takes.
I love that. I couldn't agree any harder. Like, so hard to agree. Amazing. I think that is. I know you have to go. I was saying that I was getting you to tell me the time you had at the beginning, because I know I could talk to you forever. Like, I have all kinds of other rabbit holes I'd love to get into, but I know you have things to do. So that was a beautiful close. Is there anything that you wanted to touch on? Any final thoughts or anything that you wish I had asked before we close it out?
Oh, no, I think that's the best thing we can do is empower people. That's what I feel like. I, that's just the biggest thing is, you know, give people their power back. They've been stripped of it too long. They've been told to give it away too long. So, take it back. Take it back. It belongs to you. You're great and powerful beings. Create. Um, if you like to be around more people that do that, we have a conference coming up in a couple of weeks. Can I promote that?
Yeah. Plug. Yeah, that's a part of it. Plug all your stuff. How do they find them? How do they find you?
We have our transformation conference coming up June 9th to the 11th in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. And we're also, let's see, there's more information about that on transformation-conference.com. And we are also live streaming it. So if you can't come to the area, you can see it by streaming it. But either way, it's more information like this, empowerment, and showing you what you can do, how you create things, how you mold and shape your life, and how you do these things. And for anybody from a beginner to advanced, I mean, we have it on all levels. So there you go.
Amazing. I love it. Where should they go? You got a website? What else?
Yeah. We have a website. We have the Facebook page, which Transformation Conference, I think. Transformation Conference Facebook page. We also have our book site, which is the publishing company, Ozark MT for Mountain .com. So Ozark MT. Then I have my website, juliacannon.com, and then I have my Facebook page, Julia Cannon Soul Speak Facebook page. I don't even know what they are anymore. So anyway, and then we have our QHHT classes. They're coming up very soon, June 1st, if anybody's interested in learning the quantum healing hypnosis technique that's coming up. And anyway, and all those things are available on DoloresCannon.com and QHHT Official. So we have lots of websites.
Right on.
But if you look up anything, if you look Dolores Cannon or Julia Cannon or something, you'll probably find these sites and you'll find links to them. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'd love to see it. Anybody, any questions? Just come on down. Just this is what I love to do. I want people to know their power, to know who they really are. You know, don't believe what they tell you. If it's anything less than you are great and powerful, you are.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for your work. Thank you for committing to the path and listening and spreading all the love and light and joy and just doing it and just being the being you are. So I acknowledge you and I appreciate you. And I definitely want to do the quantum hypnosis. So I saw it a long time ago and I know I'm going to get it eventually. So I'm sure we'll be crossing paths for that. And but I just wanted to thank you for coming on and all your work. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Matt. This has been wonderful. I truly appreciate you inviting me and been my honor. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Well, thank you everybody for listening and we'll catch you in the next episode. Peace.